and welcome to another episode of Bubblegum Connects, where we deconstruct the art and the artistry. Today, I have another special guest with me, a veteran in this game. Ladies and gentlemen, Spoek Mathambo, how are you?
I'm much better now.
Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into Hikikomori Blue, Spoek Mathambo's latest offering. What does this album signify for you at this point in your career?
I guess it was just having fun. It was just very personal, me completely by myself during the big, lockdown, during the pandemic, and just doing something that was very therapeutic and chill.
Okay, so you mentioned that you obviously recorded it during lockdown.
Produced it, composed it, wrote it.
All by yourself?
Yeah.
Was there any difference in the way that you worked in comparison to your previous?
Yes, a big one is just doing it completely by myself. That is big difference. Another one was not so much focus on drums, like kick drums, but really percussive and bassy. Yeah, really chill, slow tempos. Was super different than anything I've done before, really.
And so because you were adjusting to having a different process, was that easy or difficult for you?
Yeah, I can't say it was easy or difficult. This project had zero pressure, so it wasn't difficult. It was very therapeutic and it was chill.
And obviously, you've been in the game for a very long time. You have 7 studio albums. Most people barely make it to 3. What would you kind of credit your longevity in the music industry to?
I guess not giving up. Completing a body of work is, big task. And what you get back from it might not be awesome. And that can deter a lot of people from trying again or from doing again or from exploring again. Yeah, for me, like I say, finding that kind of therapy in it would make me do it again because it's actually beneficial for me personally.
And how would you say you've kind of grown and evolved as an artist over the years?
I didn't make beats at all before, so that's a big one. And that as a vocalist, as an MC, coming up young as an MC, it meant relying on other people and relying on other people for your, for a complete aesthetic chamber of your sound, you know what I mean? So it's connecting with people who are akin to you, but on the flip side, it might also take your stuff to a direction that's not necessarily representative of what you want to do. So having more control means that I can kind of conceive and finish things as I imagine or want them a lot more.
And how do you think that kind of shows up in the record?
I think it's shown up in different projects differently. I think ease of experiment, and also for me, personal enjoyment. I think there used to be a time where I used to be really anxious about the music and not able to listen to it after making it, and just move to the next thing. But now it's I can really get in and enjoy the stuff.
Okay, so I also want to get into the title. Could you explain why it's called Hikikomori Blue?
I was watching a documentary about this Japanese social phenomenon of hikikomori, people who are hermits, modern day hermits, stay home all the time. And it's a documentary from years ago, but at the time it was during that lockdown. And I was like, what the hell? These people choose this life, but this is a life that's been kind of forced on all of us, But despite that, we could relate to the hermit life that they were living. And the album was called that because the music for me helped me get through that shitty time.
I also noticed, obviously you use the Japanese phrase, so that's incorporated in the body of work. It's also in the visual artwork, but then you also have Western influence, kind of the animation of the artwork. You have a song called Mentira on it, which means lies in Spanish. Why did you want to kind of add that element to the record, the Western and Eastern influence into it?
Isn't that South Africa? Bunch of influences from all over the world, as well as what's organic here. But I think that's what makes South African art what it is. It's really the merger of Africa in all its strength and glory, as well as Eastern influences from 1,000 years of Arabs being on this coast, even before the Europeans came, to the colonial influence. But why on this album in particular? Like I said, I saw the documentary and for me it was a trip. I was like, oh shit, these people choose to live like this. That's pretty crazy. And being in that experience myself, it related to the album that I was making and the mood of the album. Aesthetically, why I did the cover like that was I found this old graphic novel that I used to read when I was in high school. I went to my mom's house, I found this old graphic novel. I was like, oh shit, yeah, this is these panels in this way. You know, I'm gonna cut up the graphic novel and make it express what I want to say. It's like a one about Yakuza vibes, but I took it as this guy crying on the toilet. You know, there's computers, he's making beats, he's crying on the toilet, but there's the sexual desire, you know, so it's playing with different influences from through life.
So you opened the record with looking for love outside oneself. Why did you want to start off with that record, and what are you like signaling to the audience about the project?
What's great now is that different platforms, sometimes you can start records differently. So I think on Bandcamp, that's not how I start the record.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
On Spotify, it starts off like that. Okay,
Yeah. You know, like with Spotify, I can't change it, but with Bandcamp, I can go to them and be like, nah, actually, I don't want people to hear this first. I want people to hear this first. Or, you know what I mean? This is how to start the journey. Why? Looking for love outside. That was the first song that I made for the project. So it felt, I think, natural in a sense. It just felt natural. What I do when I finish the project is I just keep adjusting the movement, and when it sounds right from transition to transition, then it's done.
Okay, so was it the same on Bandcamp? Which song starts on Bandcamp?
Pressure, Burst the Piping.
I felt like...
It's the only dance song on there.
Well, I felt like it was just on a more mellow vibe.
Yeah, emotional vibes with the guitar.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
compared, that's why I say I took out a lot of drum work on the other songs, but this one particularly has a straight dancey kind of 4/4 thing.
We'll get to that because I do have some questions about that. But before that, you still keep the energy like on a high peak because you have Mentira Manga Manga. Why did you kind of want to start like with that kind of energy?
The flow was natural. When I'm done with the project, I just then sequence and I'll chill and I'll listen, whether it's relaxing, reading, exercising, cooking, whatever. I'll listen to it in different sequences. Then when it feels right, it feels right.
Feels right.
But the project was weird, man. Like the rhymes that I wrote was rhymes that I'd been writing for a couple of whiles before that, and they just sat. They just sat. So when I was making the beats, it was supposed to be an instrumental project. Then it came to me and I just started spitting, and why? I don't know why, but
so kind of like the lyrics preceded the production.
Yeah, but the lyrics weren't for the production. Like I say, they were just instrumental tracks that I was thinking. That felt dubby. I was trying to do like a singy thing, and then one day I rapped and it was really fun, and it just continued.
So which one was the record where you like just started rapping and realized this?
Like I say, Dinner by Candlelight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dinner by Candlelight and Mentira da Manga Manga. It's like, okay.
So how do you know like which raps go to which sound? Or is it something that flows naturally?
Mentira da Manga Manga, the beat was playing and the rap just came to mind. Yeah, so it was just something that just came to mind. I was like, oh yeah, this can work, this rhythm with that can work, yeah.
Okay, so even before you decided that you were gonna obviously put lyrics to the records, you obviously wanted it to be an instrumental album, and even that's why I think it ends the way it does.
Yeah.
When you started working on the project, what kind of sounds did you want to explore?
A big sound or vibe that I was listening to was like Algerian, Moroccan, Tunisian.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there's this thing, a style called Ganawa. Mm-hmm. And Ganawa is, they say that it's people from Mali who moved to Algeria and Morocco and that. And they're basically saying it's their slave music. It's the idea of music that came from people who were captured and enslaved, but now it's become a really popular form in the Maghreb, in Morocco and that. And the way that the music is used is like for therapy. So it's guys with kind of bells and a dude with a bass. And let's say you're having like bad dreams or psychosis or you're flipping out. They'll come to your house and do kind of a three nights of ceremonies. Each night is called a lila. So it's prayer, it's old traditional songs, but it's really to get you into this kind of trance. Mm-hmm. And found it really uplifting, inspiring. I got into it, and for me, at a really down point, I found the therapy in it. So that influenced, it's the instrument that is used a lot on the project, the gimbra.
The gimbra.
sounds like a bass, like down, down, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum.
Were you trying to like kind of invoke those kind of emotions, especially when the project starts slowing down with sometimes I sing the blues and
no more walking alone.
No more walking alone. Is that what you're trying to invoke, like in the audience?
It's two things. So one was that music for me, I found it really just like soothing and dope and helpful. On another side, I was trying to stop smoking weed at some point, and dealing with anxiety, I found a replacement in super bass heavy music, but not bass heavy as in like electronic, just like natural bass and kind of percussive stuff, old harmonic dub stuff, rock steady stuff, but stripped down dubs mostly. And I found the gimbra and the bass of Jamaica therapeutic for me in the same way. And so the project kind of straddles that line of therapy.
Okay.
So it's not really to evoke emotion. I mean, it's not really to evoke emotion, but to give the therapy that I received from the sounds, from the frequencies, you know.
Since you produced most of this during the lockdown, obviously there's no collaborations, which is a bit strange for you because generally you tend to work with people. Even in your last project, you had like a slew of features. Was it weird for you not to have to be the standalone voice in this project?
Lockdown doesn't really mean no collaboration. I mean, everyone just works
digitally.
Not really. Like my bra Sipho Senkosi still visits, and we're still making music. Lali Boy, there's a new Lali Boy project coming. We do a lot of digital stuff, but being in studio is irreplaceable, really nice, working with other people in a very face-to-face, sharing energy. And
so because you couldn't have access to that, you were just like, I'd rather not?
No, it was just how it happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no actual intentionality behind it. It's just how the record came about.
It was that deal, you know.
And that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that goes back to your first question about growth. That it's a time where I can feel comfortable with that, you know.
And then not have to try getting other people to... Okay, I see that. Like I said earlier, you end the records with the instrumentals. Why did you want to end the album on that note with records that just don't have any lyrics?
Some people don't want to hear me going on. Some people don't want to hear me yap. And also sometimes I'm one of the people who don't want to hear that. I recognize that sometimes the beat can say a lot more than the vocal version can. But I want people to experience that, you know. What I'm trying to do now is release instrumental versions of albums and vocal versions, but this was short, so I just put it together.
I noticed that it was Mentira, Manga, it was the instrumental for that one, but you didn't have the instrumental for Looking for Love Outside Oneself. Why didn't you want to add that, even though that's how you started the record?
I think it sounded weird. Yeah, I think there's something I couldn't get right.
And by the end, when a person has listened to the entire body of work from top to bottom, what do you hope they take away from the project?
I hope they can find some sense of calm, sense of adventure, sense of humor, but also just inspiration to keep journeying in love and health, you know, and that was all.
Okay, well, I appreciate you for coming through.
Thank you very
much. It was really informative. There's so much that I would have never picked up just by listening to the album. I mean, so much history, and I mean, if you talked about the Algerian slave and all that. So I really appreciate getting to speak to you on this really incredible body
Thanks
of
for having
work.
me.
We may be done, but the party is not over. You can keep up with the latest and greatest concerning everything Spoek Mathambo. Where can they find you?
Spoek Mathambo on all social media platforms.
Okay, and you can find us, Bubblegum Club, wherever your grandmama be at, wherever your mama at, wherever you stalk your exes, you can go on there. And until next time, I will see you guys later.